Dear viewers, welcome to a new episode of DocTalk. Today we're gonna discuss a very important subject, especially for those who maintaining a healthy lifestyle or athletics or athletes in general. So we see how athletes perform under pressure and how their mental health is important. So today we have with us Mr. Mohammed Muhanna, a specialist psychologist, to address the importance and to raise awareness of the importance of mental health, not only in everyday activities or day-to-day events, but also in sports. So stay tuned after this short break. Welcome back, dear viewers, and welcome, Mr. Mohammed Muhanna.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here again, and I hope this time we talk about sport in a way that can help athletes to understand the importance of the mental aspect, and you also provide information that can be helpful for the general people and for whoever is interested in doing sports.
Okay, so let's talk about this branch or field of sports psychology. Is it new? Is it something that was there before and now people are more concerned about or focusing on?
I know it's been there for like a long time, but I think it was not developed or been like out for the people only maybe in the last 10 years or maybe 10 15 years people start to really take it more seriously, because mental health in general, people become more open about it. So, and you can see now in professional sport teams overseas and on a very top level, there's always a mental coach, or they take an assistance of a sports psychologist to help the team or to help the individual athletes to perform better. So it's been there for a long time, but I think the importance now being out for people in the last 10 years with the social media and how people are becoming open about mental struggle.
Okay. My second question is, why is focusing on mental health is important for athletes? You said now there's a focus in the past 10 or 15 years, but recently there's a huge focus, especially now we see a lot of fans, we see a lot of let's say high views on certain athletic or sport events. So why it's important now?
One reason it could be now with the spread of social media and that our world become more digital, I think people start to be more aware of what's happening around them, and also they can know what's being said about them on social media. They can have criticism, they can have their videos of their performance being spread everywhere. Sometimes memes are being made about them, bullying.
That's called cyberbullying for athletes. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So also because mental health in general, as I said, became more spread and in media. So in here, I think it's becoming more important for people to, or people start to really realize that mental health can be a very huge help, because some people struggle in their performance, not because they like the physical ability, but they like more the mental side, where they need maybe motivation or deal with certain fears. And here I think the importance of mental health comes.
Okay, so you talked about stress. Let's talk about how stress and anxiety affect the performance, the athletic performance, because sometimes if you are distracted, even if you have no stress or anxiety, just a simple distraction can affect an athlete life.
Yeah, and here in sport in general, athletes deal with stress and anxiety, but it's more related to their performance. And that can be for several factors, can be the atmosphere of the competition, can be the also lack of confidence of their of if they're going to be able to beat their opponents. Also sometimes the pressure of the expectations, because when you go to like a certain competition and you have many people having a high expectation on you, that can also produce a certain amount of anxiety and pressure. And that can also and here comes the importance of mental health, of how to prepare the athlete to cope with that, because some athletes can really drift away during their sport competition, or they're not be able to perform to their full ability due to the mental distractions.
Okay, so here comes the importance of negative or positive pressure. how does it play, and not only play, but how does it improve or make the performance decline? So how can we make positive pressure on the athlete, but not that kind of destructive pressure?
Positive pressure, I would say it's depend on the coach relationship with the athletes and how also the athletes receiving information from their coaches, because sometimes one struggle is that the way athlete interpreted the criticism of their coaches, and some athlete they took criticism in a way that can motivate them to perform better.
Yes.
Some other athletes take criticism in a way more negative, and that can also influence the way they perform. And here comes the importance of the coaching style and the communication, that you know the nature of your athlete. As a coach, you need to know what to say and how to really deal with the athlete in a way that can motivate him. So sometimes pressure can be, they say, you know, pressure make diamond, but only if the pressure was used in a very intellectual way.
Yeah, a slow pressure, not immediate pressure. Immediate pressure can destroy everything.
I think it's also depend on like the nature of athlete, as I said, because some athletes, they have a high resilience, and once their passion, their motivation, their sense of competition is very high, so that's why they always want to be better. So you can see some athlete with more pressure, they even perform better, but other people, they always struggle under pressure, and they need a certain way to cope with it and help. And I guess that's why it's very crucial to understand how to coach someone regarding pressure and how to communicate pressure with athletes.
Well, you talked about pressure and you talked about coaches. Coaches sometimes, okay, I'm the coach and I'm pushing you to win, but also as an athlete, you fall under the fear of failure. How can I deal with failure? Sometimes that kind of feeling can be destructive. Okay, I'm equipped, I'm trained, I'm experienced, but then I failed. So how can I deal with that kind of fear?
I guess it is very important to understand that failing is part of any challenge. When you take a challenge as an athlete, there is always a chance for win, but there's also another chance for failing. So for there, it is important to accept that failing is part of the process. And when failing doesn't define who you are, it's just part of the game, part of the sport. It's very important as well that athletes don't remain in the negative feeling for a long time, and that differentiates people mentally in sport. Sometimes you fail or you lose a game, you lose a match, you lose a competition, you experience negative feeling, but then you have to move forward and then prepare to work next and revise what's went wrong in that competition, and then you work on yourself and develop yourself. So this is important, because fear of failing sometimes can be related to the lack of self-confidence, can be due to technical issues, can be a problem in preparation from the coach or misunderstanding of the game. So that's why I guess very important for me that athletes understand that failing is normal, so don't make it take your brain for too long.
Okay, you talked about dealing with the athlete and their self-confidence. How can sports psychology help the athletes to build higher self-confidence?
By help them to understand themselves in a better way, by give them the opportunity also to express their insecurities and what kind of concern they have regarding their sport performance, or what's really affecting them as people, and that's been reflecting in their sport. So as a psychologist, in the sport field, I try to understand the athlete nature and where is his concern and weak point coming from, and then help them to really reflect on it, cope with it, and then we build up a better approach to have a better performance and a positive mindset.
Well, Mr. Muhammad, I would like to keep talking about the importance of sports psychology, but we need to take a break and look into the upcoming reports, and then we're going to talk about the sports. So please stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, after this short report, and now we join our lovely guest, Mr. Muhammad Muhanna, hopefully, inshallah. future doctor, to talk about sports psychology. And now let's talk about the importance of sports in general for everyday activities, and how does it help us to maintain, let's say, a stable mental status.
Sport is always positive.
Mhm.
I believe people should understand that sport is for everyone, and sport can play a big part in self-confidence, self-improvement, and helping a person to really develop themselves in a way they go through a certain journey and set a certain goals. So therefore, I always say there's no certain standard. There's no certain ways of start any kind of journeys, because people coming from different background struggles, or they have a different goals they want to achieve. So they don't need to compare themselves to others. They don't need to really think there is a specific way of development. What you really need to focus on is yourself. And sport is a very good way to help you to do that, because once you start the sport, or you start your journey in sport, the more you see improvement, the more you feel better about yourself.
Yes.
And the more you also, that can boost your mental health and can help you to be also a better person sometimes.
Okay, we talked about coaches and we talked about individual athletes. Let's talk about the team, the unit. How can the unit affect each other? The players, let's also even the staff, the administrative staff. It's a team. There are different roles, there are different parts. How can they affect each other in general?
Team spirit is very important, because in team sport, communication is very important, and it's maybe what's very crucial is one person performance can affect the whole team.
Yes.
And in here, I guess it's very important for the staff and also for the teammates learn how to maintain each other and how to think how can they improve themselves as a unit, because once you put the blame all on one person, in here the fraction will happen.
Yes.
Yeah, people will always blame each other. There is always certain egos, because there's the one with the very high skills, there is the one with an average skills.
Yes.
So if there is no team cohesion and there is no kind of collaborating on a mental level and communication level, it will all be seen in the match or like in any competition.
You can see it in the vibe between the team.
Yes, and in the performance. So it's very important for the coaches, for the staff, for the players to understand that importance and work on it, because at the end, a team mean a group of people, not a certain individual.
Yes.
So there's no achievement gonna come by just a one person effort. If not everyone collaborating together, then there's no result. So I think that's in contrast with individual sports, where it's always about one person performance.
Yes.
And I think that's very important that people understand the importance of team spirit and how they collaborate with each other.
Well, that leads us to the other question. What psychological techniques do coaches use to motivate athletes or to boost the team spirit?
Sometimes one of common techniques we can say is self-talk, or the inner dialogue. In some sport is used to help the athlete to build like a positive imagination about themselves and having a better awareness and boost their spirit to really approach their performance or training in a better way and stop comparing themselves to others, because sometimes the mind and the body is related to each other, and what you think is what you're gonna do.
Yes.
And if you think you are bad, you're gonna do bad. If you think you are good, you will do good, or you will at least try your best to be good. So this is very important, is what people underestimate the power of the mind, and how the mind can play a very powerful role in boosting your performance and boosting your training and skills, and enhance your chances of having a more positive outcome. So another thing we can say, cognitive inhibition, which is a skill that athlete can learn how to block the distraction that are not really related to the task or the performance they need to do, and just focus on their task and skill and performance, and not let anything else come to their mind, the distraction from audience, the pressure from the opponent, or even the inner doubt, because once this thing gets inside your head, they're not allowing you to really step forward and limit you from showing your full potential. So that's very important, I guess.
Let's talk about the role of self-motivation. Okay, we know that there are psychologists who support us, we have coaches, we have team spirit, but me, what do I do to motivate myself?
To motivate yourself, I think it's very important that you understand that you don't have to be someone else. You don't have to be someone else. You don't need to have a similar journey to someone else. You can be inspired by people.
Yes.
Can be motivated to see other people doing well. But don't feel negative or don't feel sad because you don't have the same journey or result as them, because at the end you are unique. It doesn't matter of the difference in level, but you need to just focus on yourself, focus on your own development. And I think once you dive into yourself and focus on your development, you will have a better approach mentally to your results and your training, and you can have a better motivation as well.
Well, that is important and interesting. So my next question is the following. We all know that athletes are subject to injuries. How can one individual manage the physical pain and the psychological disappointment or the psychological injury that happened due to that physical injury?
Well, physical injuries are always considered as a setbacks for athletes. Of course, depend on what kind of injury they had and the severity of the injury. And I understand it can play a big role in affecting their mentality, because the rehabilitation period can take a long time, depend on what kind of injury they had. And also during that time, athletes start to question themselves if they gonna be back in the same level again, if they feel upset or bored or feeling so negative because they're spending a lot of time in rehabilitation outside the field, or they're not exercising their sport in a normal way. So in here, and some people, sometimes they give up, or some people, they start to feel very distracted. When they come back after injury, they might not be the same. On the other hand, we saw people who came back much more stronger
and better.
So I guess it's there's two key factors. First, mentality. Secondly, the quality of mental coaches and psychologists and the trainer of their sport on how to prepare the athlete to come back stronger, and to how to provide them with a very supportive environment that make them feel that they are capable to do things, and it's just a journey. It's a certain period they're experiencing it, and then they will come back in a better way, hopefully.
Wow, that's interesting. So we need to take a break right now, and then after the break, we're going to jump into myths and facts segment, my favorite. So please stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers, and now it's my favorite segment, Myth or Fact, with Mr. Mohammed Muhanna. So my first myth is mentally strong athletes never feel pressure or stress.
It's myth, because they might feel it, but they know how to cope with it. So stress are a regular part of any process in competition, but they know how to cope with it and not to let it affect their mentality in sport, in competitions.
That's interesting. Myth number 2, only professional athletes need psychological support.
Myth, everyone needs mental support, because we are human at the end. So everyone have emotions.
Do you think that here in Kuwait, especially in our sports scenes, we need psychological support, sports psychological support?
Of course, because I believe it's very important to help athletes to raise the level of their ambition, because sometimes we see people, their ambition is only very limited to the maybe local atmosphere, or only to the Gulf atmosphere, but we want to push the level higher, and we want to see people competing more on a more regional and international level.
Well, my next myth is mental focus doesn't greatly affect game's outcome.
Myth, it's affect game outcome, because when you lack of focus during your performance, that means you are not showing your full ability or full potential. And here, that can really affect the way you perform, and you might lose sometime.
Okay, so my next myth is exercising means you are always in a good mental status or state.
Myth, because sometimes exercises can be a way to release emotion or to stay away from stress. So for some people, sport can be their own way of
get away. Yeah.
Or escaping.
Escaping.
Yeah.
This is my escape, or let's say this is my free time.
Yeah.
Then I have to go to deal with the kind of stress and anxiety. Well, it doesn't help that much. Okay, my next myth is psychological support only enhances performance with no effect on the athlete's overall mental health.
It's a bit tricky part, but I would say it enhances the athlete as a whole, as a person, as an athlete, because at the end, the athlete is a human at the end. So when you help him with his emotion, you improve his life. And once his life is improving, that also can be reflected on his performance. Because some people, they have inner distractions.
Yes.
They don't know how to deal with it. And once you help them to handle it, they can perform better. And then also they can be better outside the sport. Because at the end, distraction or mental struggle is part of you. It's not just related to a certain field. So I think it's helped athlete in his life in general.
Okay, that's very interesting. So we're gonna keep talking about the importance of mental health for athletes people. So after this short break, so please stay tuned. Welcome back, dear viewers. We are still discussing the importance of mental health for athletes and sports teams, and the importance of team spirit with Mr. Muhammad Muhanna. So my next question is psychological pressure different in major competitions compared to regular competitions, and how? Sometimes there's two difference. This is like a minor competition, and this is a major. The pressure sometimes can be different.
Yes, of course. It depends on the nature of the competition, as you said, and how it's affecting people. Because one maybe simple example we have in Kuwait, we have the paddle competition. You know, for a certain time, paddle was like a very extreme common, and everyone was playing paddle.
And everyone suddenly professional in that game.
Yeah, of course there is a professional people, but I know paddle is something that's now becoming, or used to be, trendy for a certain period.
Yeah.
And you saw a lot of people involving, and with a lot of crowd, people sometimes can start to feel a bit overwhelmed. And that's one kind of pressure. Another pressure, of course, there is the more professional and international level. And also it's depends on the nature of sports, because sports can vary in the density of the audience and how many people are existing there. So pressure exists. But of course, it's depend on the sport and depend on what the athlete looking for and what they are struggling with.
Okay. My next question is for the young athletes. How can they benefit from sports psychology, especially in the beginning of their sport life?
They can benefit from it in a way. It can help them with their sense of insecurities, because as you know, in a young age, a lot of people struggle with their insecurities and comparison, and also they can easily be distracted because they're still trying to grow up and be more mature. So it's very important to give them a more positive guidance to help them to have their sport journey in a more positive way and allow them to have a better career. Because you see people who were in that young age, they can really struggle to be focused, and they carry away with different things, and that's affect them from reaching their full potential.
Okay, my next question is extremely important. What are the signs of mental burnout in athletes? They are subject to that matter. Sometimes they lose control, sometimes they fall out. What is the signs of mental burnout?
Signs of mental burnout can be shown in when athletes are there physically, but mentally they're not there, or their spirit is not there anymore, or they still feel
the lack of motivation.
Yeah, lack of motivation, lack of understanding. They don't know how to deal with their teams. They just existing there and just do
like walking zombies, the Walking Dead.
Yeah, they just show themselves and do whatever performance they do, and they just like walk away without showing any kind of passion, any kind of fighting spirit, any kind of and that can be for several reasons. Could be the relationship between athlete and coaches, could be the pressure and also the stress level they had, could be that something within their own sport, could be different things.
Yes.
So sometimes also the nervous system affect the athlete performance, and people have to understand what is the importance of the recovery for athlete to be better. Recovery can be in a different ways. Recovery can be mentally, emotionally
and
physically. And sometimes athletes need to step back and reflect on themselves and reassess the whole situations. Sometimes you might need to change your circle, your coaches, your staff, or need to look to your sport in a different way so that you can be a better athlete, and also to recharge yourself and avoid mental burnout.
Well, that leads me to my next question. How can coaches take the role of motivators, let's say the parental role of putting back the confidence to avoid burnout, to bring back the motivation and put them back on track to excel in their sports?
It's very important for coaches, especially when they are very demanding on their athlete and then they see they're not getting the response they want from athlete, and they're more like in a performance way. They need to know the more you put demand, the more you put pressure, and the more you just use like a very intense communication or communicative language, is not going to lead you anywhere. Sometimes you need dialogue, you need communication, you need to understand what's going on. Sometimes athletes are not really lacking skills, they're just lacking certain chances to have an emotional release or to really say things they need or they struggle with, or things they don't like. And that, I think, can really help athletes to really improve their relationship with their coaches and give them a better space to really express themselves and cope with the pressure mentally, and then performing better.
Well, Mr. Muhammad Muhanna, hopefully, inshallah, Dr. Muhammad Muhanna, thank you for joining us in DocTalk today, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And my dear viewers, also thank you for joining us today, and until next time, enjoy your day.